While certain aspects of the Pittsburgh Steelers offense will remain the same, much will be different entering the 2025 season. Not only is Aaron Rodgers in at quarterback, but each of his skill positions has witnessed a change. Thus, it's more than just Rodgers that will swing the outcome of this year. Pittsburgh's running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends will all be pivotal pieces. Figuring out where those collections of talent stack up is easier said than done. ESPN senior NFL writer Bill Barnwell had to take a stab at it, though. In his yearly set of playmaker rankings, the Steelers rose from 27th a year ago to 21st now. Elements like injuries, suspensions, and high-impact factors, such as elite talent, were considered for all 32 teams. The assessment of Pittsburgh was, predictably, a tricky one. Supporting wideouts behind DK Metcalf limits Steelers' 2025 ranking. Barnwell didn't come off as too concerned about wide receiver DK Metcalf. He believes Metcalf will establish a reasonable floor as George Pickens' replacement. Barnwell is also a fan of tight end Jonnu Smith, who was traded for in late June. Barnwell writes that Smith and Pat Freiermuth should be one of the league's most productive tight end duos. The number 21 ranking is largely tied to the Steelers' other receiving options, specifically at wideout. The renowned football analyst isn't sold on the depth behind Metcalf. Roman Wilson was limited to 5 snaps as a rookie by ankle and hamstring injuries, critical concerns for a player who will need to rely on his quickness and route running to thrive in the slot, Barnwell wrote. Robert Woods is still a sound blocker and veteran hand, but he fell all the way to 203 receiving yards last season in Houston. Woods and Ben Skowronek are better football players than they are playmakers with the ball in their hands, which might benefit the Steelers given their expected desire to lean into the run in year 2 of Arthur Smith's scheme. One player Barnwell didn't consider was receiver Calvin Austin III. The speedy 26-year-old is coming off a 36-catch, 548-yard, for touchdown 2024 campaign and has generated some buzz this offseason. The Steelers desperately need him or one of Wilson or Woods to step up. Post-Najee Harris running back room could raise offense. Barnwell also opined on the running back situation in Pittsburgh. After some tumultuous seasons, the Najee Harris era is officially over. Despite that being a big loss from a snap standpoint, Barnwell believes the Steelers are insulated to embrace that departure. Veteran Jaylen Warren is prepared for this moment, writes Barnwell, with rookie Caleb Johnson being perhaps the biggest X-factor on the entire offensive depth chart. Removing Najee Harris could be addition by subtraction, with the Steelers likely to hand a larger share of the rushing workload to Jaylen Warren, the far more productive back in that rotation over the past 3 years, Barnwell wrote. Rookie third-rounder Caleb Johnson will take over the big back role, but if he can be more efficient than Harris as the 1B as opposed to the 1A, Pittsburgh could finally have the consistent offensive attack it has sought since Ben Roethlisberger suffered an elbow injury in 2019. Last season, the Steelers ranked 4th in rushing attempts, but 25th in yards per carry. Advanced Stats didn't like their attack either, as they ranked 28th in rushing success rate and 24th in rush EPA/play according to RBSDM.com. With Warren providing more of a floor, a decline seems unlikely. An improvement, on the other hand, could stem directly from how Johnson fares in year number 1. There's a lot of uncertainty surrounding the Steelers' offense. The neighborhood of 21st from a weapon standpoint seems fair. It also doesn't prohibit the team from proving that ranking wrong over the course of the 2025-26 season. The Pittsburgh Steelers enter the 2025 season with all sorts of questions. Pittsburgh is dealing with the extended negotiations of a possible contract extension for TJ Watt, for instance. The two sides appear to still not be in alignment on an agreement as the team's training camp is set to begin. Although Watt is a possible trade candidate, there are others on the roster who are candidates as well. These candidates are flying a bit under the radar as the team gets ready to meet up again this summer for on-field activities. Here are 3 sneaky trade candidates for the Steelers, who look to head back to the NFL playoffs this season. Skylar Thompson, QB. There are essentially 4 quarterbacks on the Steelers roster at this point. That is because Pittsburgh signed a 1-year deal with veteran Aaron Rodgers just days before OTAs. With the addition of Rodgers, one Pittsburgh quarterback immediately becomes somewhat expendable. The Steelers are certainly not going to part ways with Rodgers. It is also unlikely that rookie quarterback Will Howard is going anywhere since the team just selected him. That essentially leaves Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson. While either of these players could be a trade candidate, it makes more sense for the team to part ways with Thompson. Part of the reason is because Rudolph is so familiar with the offensive playbook, as this is his second stint with the team. Thompson appears to be the odd man out. Before Rodgers entered the picture, Thompson was trending toward third on the team's depth chart at quarterback. If Pittsburgh sees an opportunity to move him, it wouldn't be absurd to think they will make a deal. Thompson has seen limited action in the NFL while playing for the Miami Dolphins. In 2024, he had just 187 passing yards while completing about 64% of his passes. Cordarrelle Patterson, RB. The next candidate is Cordarrelle Patterson. He gets work in the running game but could also be used on special teams. He has 3 seasons in his lengthy NFL career with at least 1,000 kickoff return yards. Patterson has already gotten some buzz as a possible trade candidate. The Kansas City Chiefs are one team that has been listed as a possible target per the Sporting News. The 4-time Pro Bowler could be the Swiss Army knife of Andy Reid's offense, serving as a running back and wide receiver and being the potential impact playmaker for quarterback Patrick Mahomes, Daria Sharma wrote. The rusher posted 135 yards on the ground in the 2024 season. He also had 80 receiving yards for Pittsburgh. Last season was his only one in the Steel City. There's one last trade candidate the Steelers have to discuss. Beanie Bishop Jr., DB. Beanie Bishop was a big surprise for the Steelers in 2024. The defensive back, who went undrafted in the 2024 NFL Draft, found himself on the field contributing regularly. The corner finished his rookie season with 45 combined tackles, including 30 solo stops. He also was credited with 7 passes defended and 4 interceptions. Bishop enters training camp in 2025 again, trying to fight for a spot in the secondary. Pittsburgh has several guys on the depth chart at corner, including new acquisition Jalen Ramsey. Ramsey was traded to Pittsburgh in recent days from Miami. There are plenty of other guys on the roster right now who can get snaps in the defensive backfield. They include Darius Slay, Joey Porter Jr., and James Pierre. With all of these players available, the Steelers could find themselves needing to cut ties with one of their guys. Bishop is certainly an option, as he is one of the youngest players on the team and not carrying a heavy contract. As training camp begins, time will tell how the roster shakes out for Pittsburgh. The Steelers finished the 2024 campaign with 10 wins before losing to Baltimore in the postseason. Don't bet on the Pittsburgh Steelers trading away TJ Watt yet, but it's not impossible. General Manager Omar Khan just shipped Minkah Fitzpatrick out of town, which means he isn't afraid to make monumental changes to the roster. Watt will almost certainly eventually sign a contract extension with the Steelers, but if negotiations get murky, Khan might consider moving the star edge rusher. The Steelers' potential trade of what would break the internet. No one in Pittsburgh truly imagines him leaving. They expect him to re-sign, but you can't stop teams around the league from inquiring. Khan would be wise to assess the market and, if he can find a trade partner, determine what he could get in return for trading Watt. It's unlikely, but any of these mock trade proposals would catch the Steelers' attention. Pittsburgh Steelers could ponder TJ Watt trade if an enticing proposal happens. Dallas and Pittsburgh could swap money-hungry defensive superstars. Khan would be on a new level by swinging this deal. On one hand, he would be adding a versatile defensive star in Micah Parsons, but Khan would also still have the conundrum of paying another defensive player. Subtracting Watt for Parsons would be a blockbuster move that would get Pittsburgh a young defensive star who could help replace the void Watt would leave. A trade of this caliber would be the blockbuster of all blockbusters. Making a move 1-for-1 is bold. Parsons hails from Pennsylvania, and he played college football at Penn State. He can bring versatility to the Steelers' defense. He can be a chess piece to provide the defense with options. Mike Tomlin would love to add Parsons, and you better have an elite replacement in mind if you deal Watt. Watt could demand a trade to his hometown Green Bay Packers. Watt grew up 2 hours away from Green Bay, and he still spends plenty of time in Wisconsin when he's away from Pittsburgh. His entire family is from the area, and it's easy to connect the franchise player to his hometown club. If the Steelers decide to make Watt available for trade, the Green Bay Packers better place a call. They have some interesting pieces to throw in a possible move. Pittsburgh could use some help replacing Watt, and they would love to fix their issues at wide receiver. Adding Rashawn Gary and Romeo Dew helps fix a couple of needs on their roster. Neither Gary nor Dew is near the level of Watt, which led to the second-round draft pick being included. It's a steep price for the Packers, but if they think they're close to a Super Bowl, they better pay up. Steelers could get creative by swinging a deal with unsuspecting Bucs. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers might not be the first thought of an adequate Watt destination, but it makes sense. They have a defensive-minded head coach in Todd Bowles, which could lead to an interest in adding a massive playmaker on that side of the ball. Tampa has plenty of talent on offense, and that could lead to them trying to balance their roster. What would be a terrific addition to shove the Bucs into contention? Another point in this trade proposal forces the Steelers to exchange Broderick Jones for a proven franchise left tackle with Tristan Wirfs. That is a massive addition for Pittsburgh, which has struggled in the trenches. Adding a top pick and exchanging selections makes this deal sweeter for Con. This mock trade got creative as the Steelers secure their offensive line, but add more draft picks to take a top quarterback in the 2026 NFL Draft. Pittsburgh fixes their receiver problem as the Eagles shoot for a repeat. Con knows he has produced ongoing problems at the receiver position. With Aaron Rodgers on the team, the Steelers might focus on improving their offense. The Philadelphia Eagles just won the Super Bowl, but they could get bold for a repeat. Adding Watt to their roster is elite, and it would shove their championship aspirations back into the limelight. Pittsburgh would land A.J. Brown in this instance to pair with DK Metcalf. Fans would have little to complain about with two highly paid receivers in the fold. It would give Rodgers a ton of weapons to chuck the ball to. Philadelphia throws a top pick into the trade as a sweetener. Even though Brown is uber-talented, a star receiver isn't as impactful as Watt. Calvin Austin III is just a throw-in.